Draft your LCS team and earn money. Alpha Draft.
Try and get going. As we actually do jump into Champion Select and we see Kassadin and Rek'Sai being taken away straight away, but in those, I guess, the duo matchups, they are doing extremely well, but overall, the team of Gamtee really look like they're struggling.
Yeah, and even Energy Pacemaker have brought in Drizzle and Raphael for the last week or so, the last few games, unable to really make it work. They have brought this duo back in again, so subbed out the original roster, but we'll see whether they can make themselves known. I mean, Amazing J did do some pretty sweet plays, especially early on that Jarvan 4. I mean, his teleport plays were fantastic on that one, but just not quite managing to get to that late game stage where they can win.
Yeah, and he definitely is the X factor on this EP lineup. We mentioned the Sion pick. The Jarvan is fantastic. His teleports have been on point. Look for him to get in the bottom lane and try and affect something on Tail and Sync Dream early. Also expect him to be around mid lane. He's one of those top laners, and we see this a little bit more often now than we used to, that he just pushes out the lane, packs up shop, leaves top lane, and just roams around the map. We see it a lot out of players like Flandre, but Amazing J definitely capable of it as well.
Yeah, he really is all about that one. Use that Tiamat, pushes out the wave, and then I'm just going to go flag and drag my way around this one. But still waiting for that last ban. Sivir is going to be the one taken off the board by Energy Pacemaker, and very standard banning coming in, but Letme's managed to pick up that Gnar for the top lane, and Jarvan is available for either Amazing J or Drizzle, and they're just going to take away the next two junglers. This is going to force a Rengar, you could imagine.
Yeah, it certainly will be something around that. Maybe a Pantheon is the other jungler that we are seeing a little bit. But I like the two pickups. Jarvan getting rid of that Narvan combo that is just so devastating, has a 100% win rate nearly. And the Lee Sin, so aggressive early, can dictate pace. We've said if EP can get ahead early, they have a chance. So yeah, pick up an early game jungler.
Yeah, early game jungler and early game sort of lane controller in that Jarvan as well, depending on where they put him. But it has let the Xerath through. We've seen Xerath just be so impactful here in China. And it is hovered at the moment. We'll see whether it does get locked in, but I would not be surprised if Xiaohu decided to pick that one up for his first jaunt here in the LPL. And Danger's going to take away the Rengar.
Yeah, so Rengar is locked in. Xerath is a fantastic champion at the moment just because he controls pace of game extremely well, and that is so important in the LPL. So not surprised he goes to that. Also a lot of margin for error. You can farm from a safe distance. You typically don't get too far behind in lane, but if that Cassiopeia is locked in, he will have a rough laning phase.
It could be scary. Forced to farm from range, you could imagine, of course, Cassiopeia being just terrifying to lane against. No pun intended on that ultimate. Raphael going to lock in the Thresh zone, though, and we're going to have the Thresh Corki bottom lane. Pretty standard here as well, and Shu hasn't had a very good series so far. He's only had one kill in the entire LPL.
Yeah, but he's a support, so can't really expect him to have...
He's not the bloodthirsty support that steals kills. He's not that player, guys. Very team-focused as Tail and Sync Dream looking at their bottom lane, and this gets locked in. This is a very late-game focused team.
So I like the swap up from Shu to ask for the Thresh before the Cassiopeia. You already see the solo lanes locked in on Gamtee's side, so there's no reason to rush into that. And if they had have gone something like an Annie for, I guess, a support pickup, there is a lot of chance that if Cassiopeia pushes out that lane, can get ganked early. Now the Nami's been locked in, and they've gone very late game, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to the Cassiopeia, but it looks like they've gone for something a little bit more lane control, locking in the Syndra.
Yeah, and Raphael sort of instantly deciding that that's what he wants to play after seeing that bottom lane pickup. I'm not sure whether that's entirely related, whether he decided to make up his mind towards that one after hovering that Cassiopeia, but it's a very powerful lane, and if that stun lands, I mean, Xiaohu could have a lot of trouble, especially considering the early pressure that Lee Sin can put on.
Yeah, certainly. So this looks like a very good early game pick skirmish comp. Look to get Amazing J around the map and impact. Use that Corki to get some early damage on turrets. On the other side of the roof, Gamtee's just gone completely late game. They've got a Xerath Tristana as well as a Gnar.
Yeah.
So until these guys really scale up, grab at least 2-3 items, they're going to be in danger of being run over the top of. I guess the challenge here is, can Rengar affect the lanes pre-6 and when he gets level 6 to stop some of that bleeding that's going to be coming out of EP?
Yeah, and that's what we've been seeing arguably a little bit dangerously coming out of Rengar, is that they haven't been able to have that early pressure over the last few days here at the LPL in order to really get their teams ahead in that early stage, and often Rengar can sort of fall off just a little bit. But in a late game comp like this, when you can launch yourself into the team, stun up a target, when you've got the follow-up in that Tidal Wave and the Aqua Prison as well, I mean, you can almost make it a 5v4 instantly.
Yeah, definitely. And running a Rengar and a Gnar means that you have a lot of backline dive. You are able to get on top of the carries and really affect their mindset. And then when you run something like a Tristana Xerath, you have enough damage to only run a 2-threat comp. Throw in an army for some disengage. They definitely have a nice team fighting comp. They're just going to need to get them there somehow. And that's where Rengar needs to come in.
And the late game safety of a Tristana and a Xerath is definitely something that you can bank on because he can fire from such long range on both of those heroes as well. But let's get onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, for game 1. And we're here with Gamtee taking on Energy Pacemaker. Gamtee on our blue side, Energy Pacemaker on our red, looking to pick up their first win here in the LPL. Not actually in last position just yet. Of course, still need to lose a couple more to join World Elite in that 0-10 mark. So Gamtee looking to make that happen. But both of these teams, you could say, are fairly evenly matched.
Yeah, certainly at this point in the game, and we see that both teams fanning out. Looks like there were a couple of pings in the bottom lane. Kane has taken a lot of damage down there. Otherwise, looks like it's just going to be some deep walls coming through. Oh, Sync Dream might have caught Kane out.
Yeah, Sync Dream actually getting a lot of money from this support item pickup, the Spell Thief's Edge. Not too bad, making bank already.
Yeah, it certainly is nice feeling on Nami being able to bully people around early. That will be good for the mentality of the bot lane. We've said that Tail and Sync Dream really are not the problem with the team at this point. They've been able to hold their own. They're doing okay. Not doing as well as I'm sure they would have liked, but doing well. And really, it's the top side of the map that really Xiaohu, now that he's in, needs to start affecting. Yeah,
and if we're talking about where these teams are strongest as well, you have to think that Energy Pacemaker, it's almost made around Amazing J. It's almost like a poor man's Snake, you have to admit, with sort of Flandre being that star player. And Amazing J's trying to fit into that role, but hasn't quite managed to get there yet. And we'll see whether he can really stamp his mark on this game, because Letme may not necessarily be able to take the Jarvan power that he can put in, as Danger is going to get ebbed and flowed back up to health as he takes these Krugs here in the bottom side. And Krug's going to be mirrored here by Drizzle in the top side of the map for Energy Pacemaker as well.
Yeah, so it looks like they will start with the early advantage in experience, but may get pushed in a little bit quicker, which means the wave will build up for Tristana, which is good.
Sync Dream actually flayed back here. Phosphorus Bomb finds Tail as well, but Kane's taking auto after auto from this Tristana. Gamtee are really putting the pressure on down here.
Yeah, and more importantly, they've been forced out of XP range. See how far back up the lane they were when that skirmish happened. No creep damage coming through. Great trade out of Gamtee.
Yeah, really brilliantly played from these guys. Potions being popped across the board. Kane's trying... Actually, has popped his already. It's finished. So no more sustain to be available here, and this is terrifying. Only that Relic Shield for some extra health.
Yeah, and this is great for Gamtee. We mentioned that this is a lane that needs to get ahead, but the other thing it does is it sets up a lane for Rengar to counter game. Rengar, not a great ganker in his own right, but you'd think Drizzle has to get down here eventually, and if Danger can be there to counter game, that will set his Rengar up for a good early game.
See whether it does work out, as he is taking these wolves here in the top side of the jungle. And it is going to leave Drizzle on the bottom side of this map. He may find himself an opportunity without a Rengar available for that counter gank, and that might be what Energy Pacemaker need to get them into this game. We shall see, as Letme is going to transform into Mega Gnar here, but has had his wave shoved in, and slight level advantage now for Amazing J, who's pulled ahead in CS just a little bit.
Yeah, and that's great for Amazing J. The thing about ranged top lane is if you can shove them in, they have to choose between harassing and CSing, which makes the lane a lot less pressure intensive for the Jarvan. So being able to shove in early, definitely great. Now he needs to stop the lane reversing, keep that shove going.
And do you think that Amazing J needs to have some sort of lead here to assume that he's going even in this lane just because of the dominating force that Gnar can be in the late game?
Yeah, I think they have two very different roles. We've mentioned how Amazing J will need to shove out and get into the bottom lane to affect that bottom lane. I think that he does need to go a little bit ahead to match that Gnar's late game, I guess, prowess. However, he's going to be dishing out so much damage, especially if he goes that Tiamat build we've seen so often.
Yeah, we've seen him be picking up that item first up, of course, going back to base, picking up Pickaxe Longsword like a complete boss. We'll see whether he does decide to go for that one yet again, as Tarkor's Blessing just going to float some little orbs around Tail in the bottom side of the map. Sync Dream just showing him that he's there for him, you know?
Yeah, and Scuttle Crab being picked up on the top side of the map for the first time. Now Danger looking for a gank on the mid lane. This will be extremely difficult just because of the lane positioning to make this successful.
Yeah, and Drizzle is coming down this mid side as well, so Xiaohu just going to be farming it up. Danger going to back away.
Yeah, so good awareness from Drizzle, recognizing the fact that he can go in on the bottom side. Looks like he's going in for the first gank. This will be successful nearly.
Yeah, Xiaohu. Oh, they land a stun here as well. Xiaohu, you are dead. That is the wrong direction, but he's coming around to try and get some action down. Oh, that Arcano pulse was so close, but Raphael picks up first blood. Yeah, that's amazing. Jay goes down so low up here in the top line.
Yeah, he might even fall to all those creeps.
Oh, the flash being blown to get out of the way of the boulder.
Yeah, so really good play as the teleport cancel came through for Amazing Jay. As a little bit more action in the bottom lane, but turned around in the end, had to burn his summoner spell flash in response.
Gamtee, just everything sort of going wrong here in the top and middle parts of this map. Energy Pacemaker really starting to fight back, and we know that they have a lot of prowess here in the early stages of the game, and they really need to pull ahead. Yeah,
and this is key for them. We've mentioned how important it is for them to get an early lead and try and close this out by mid-game. This game nearly has a 32-minute timer on it around that mark. Otherwise, Gamtee is just going to be too tanky for them to deal with. When you pick something like a Corki, it does fall off when you compare it to a Tristana.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But, I mean, if Kane does manage to make it towards this mid-game power spike with that Trinity Force that he's inevitably going to be picking up, you have to think that this Corki is going to have a lot more effect in the early Dragon fights that Energy Pacemaker really love fighting for.
Yeah, definitely. First 3 Dragons clearly in Energy Pacemaker's favor, just through team comp. Unless something crazy can happen out of Xerath, as well as maybe that Gnar in the top lane. But at the moment, I think they're just happy to farm out on the side of Gamtee. They have fallen behind a little bit. Some nice CS going on in their lanes, but that first blood kill really did assist.
Yeah, and of course, getting a Syndra ahead early as well just gives her that deletion potential that you need on that champion to be relevant. And Raphael must be feeling fantastic. Now has a Doran's Ring lead here in the mid lane, of course, with that Fetish Codex as well. But that's mirrored on the side of Xiaohu. So he's not going to be too worried. Of course, he can stay fairly far back as this Xerath, as we can see, sort of able to get a fair bit of damage off from range. But Raphael taking a fair bit of poke.
Yeah, and this is what we mentioned about the Xerath versus Syndra lane. Sure, looks like Syndra is extremely long range. She can throw out that Scatter the Weak from a distance. But when her follow-up comes through, she actually has to walk into the Xerath, who once again is going to be ganked.
Yeah, and actually Shu looking to try and get some pressure on with that death sentence, but Xiaohu, Spidey senses were tingling with having no support in that bottom side of the map. And Danger on the bottom side there as well. Knows that there's couple of members hanging out. He's a little bit worried, you have to think.
Yeah, so looks like they are putting a lot of pressure on Xiaohu in his first game, trying to get him unsettled, and even more pressure on Danger, in his jungle, sitting around that red buff. It's heavily warded, looking for him to make a mistake, try and clear that one out.
Yeah, we have Drizzle just waiting around, wanting to get this red steal if he can. He's pulling it around. The red buff very confused about which player to actually attack here, as Danger pulls it around to the other side. But, oh, Xiaohu just gets eliminated. That's Unleash Power. That's what it's going to do.
Yeah, hits level 6. Doesn't even have to use Ignite for that one. That was still on cooldown, but no summoner spells up for Xiaohu. Not able to win the 2v2. Now Danger's in trouble.
Yeah, Shu's here as well. Danger gets kicked back, but Sync Dream and Tail are here. It's a nice ebb and flow. Beautiful Aqua Prism, but not going to get followed up on because of the lack of vision, and Drizzle has to escape with his tail between his legs.
But they did force the red buff onto Tail, so depending on whose side you're looking, I'm sure Tail is extremely happy to have that one in lane. And maybe Kane not so happy about it because he will start getting harassed fairly heavily with it, but not on the Rengar, not going to be able to get around and affect ganks early.
Yeah, and so far Gamtee with this new mid lane are not really working out, but you have to think that Energy Pacemaker have been focusing this mid lane completely, and that might be to do with the fact that, you know, has come from solo queue, not a lot of competitive experience. They may think that he may not have the mental fortitude to do this one, but Tail doing a lot of damage here, actually using that Buster Shot for some extra harass onto Kane.
Yeah, great trade because he has the Nami in the lane, so he has all of that sustain against only the Relic Shield coming through. Xiaohu now looking to pick up his blue buff from Danger. So yeah, not surprised that he has been focused like this. In solo queue, you're used to dealing with the jungle, not really used to dealing with the support as well, and they have been putting a lot of pressure on that lane.
Yeah.
Hoping that the Corki can just farm from afar with those rockets and the phosphorus bomb.
Yep, Raphael almost finishes up that Morellonomicon, but Xiaohu staying relevant here, of course. managing to farm relatively well. Only 10 CS behind considering the fact that he died. That's not too bad. Tao trying to put the pressure down, but 79 CS to 78 in this bottom side of the map as level 7 is about the mark that they're hitting. It's going well here for Gamtee considering their late game team comp.
Yeah, I guess the only lane that's really going in their favor so far is that Nile lane. We mentioned that Jarvan was able to shove up early, has gone for those boots, 2 and a pickaxe, so it will be the early Tiamat again coming out of Amazing J. But let me, after he did burn that flash, has looked like he's had a very easy time in this lane.
Oh yeah. Tail just sidestepping that death sentence easily here. Phosphorus Bomb not going to find its mark as Tail gets played back here as well. Ebb and Flow going to do a little bit of work, giving in some sustain, but not doing so well in that trade as Energy Pacemaker just going to take the dragon.
Yeah,
whatever.
This is in clear... no, it's not in clear vision. So they had the shrine there from the Scuttle Crab, able to pick that one up, so won't know what time that is until someone walks in. Well, the people were in lane, so they'll know roughly when that one went down, just from the aura coming through.
But, you know, this is a thing that Energy Pacemaker managed to do in a lot of their games. The first dragon generally belongs to Energy Pacemakers. Danger. I think that's actually a bug, ladies and gentlemen, so not going to be able to see him as he is in that brush, but he is going to have to head back because everyone's backing on the side of Pacemaker because they know there's nothing to get here in the bottom side of the map. They may as well shop.
Yeah, definitely. So we see that they've been able to eke themselves an early lane advantage, particularly in this mid lane, up in CS as well as a couple of kills. They've picked up the early dragon, which is good, but it's still within 1.3 thousand gold. The next dragon is really the turning point. If they can get that one and start rotating around the map and trying to pick up turrets with this Corki, now that he's getting close to that Trinity Force, they're in a good position. Otherwise, maybe they're not pushing as hard as they could with this Lee Sin in the early game.
Yeah, I'll see whether they can turn it on and affect some more kills. Drizzle looking at this mid lane yet again. No wards on the side of Gamtee as well. They've got some on the top side and a cheeky pink in that bottom tri-brush, but apart from that, sort of a little bit blind here. And you can see Xiaohu playing very scared.
And Sync Dream needs to be careful here. Ooh,
that is... I was expecting him to try and ward that curved brush above red buff, but the safe ward to come through, and that's definitely working out. Unleash Power was used in the mid, but Xiaohu's going to survive. Did have to use the barrier, though.
Yeah, so once again, trading ultimate for a summoner spell, that's fantastic for Raphael. Just continuing to put this pressure in the mid lane. And Drizzle has just been all over Danger in this jungle, really abusing the power difference between Lee Sin and Rengar at this point in the game.
Yeah, Danger's coming through. He's going to launch himself onto a creep, but Raphael just going to wander around a little bit, dodging all of these bowler strikes. As Drizzle now going to find a Krug, but not too much else.
So once again, ooh, teleport coming through, Amazing J.
Oh, Amazing J trying to get something happening. That's Danger just gets eliminated straight away. Let me a little bit late on that teleport. Does get out of the way of the death sentence, but man, Danger was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, trying to clear out that pink ward, but had absolutely no control over his own jungle. Because of how long Drizzle had stayed in that brush, they thought he wasn't there. They had the entrance warded, but able to, I guess, pick up another kill for his team, out to a 2,000 gold lead, and really starting to launch ahead as the hook goes a little wide.
Very close. Tail just able to yordle his way through and survive that one. And Kane almost has that Trinity Force, only another 1,200 gold, something like that. Xiaohu just going to sidestep that one. Raphael as well, both of these mid laners with their dancing shoes on, but look at that. As soon as that Q gets all of the points in it, it starts to do so much damage with that passive, and Raphael's just showing how much he can harass Xiaohu out of this lane.
Yeah, he certainly was able to zone him off that cannon creep, so starting to struggle in this mid lane. He's down nearly 20 CS now, as well as 2 kills, so really need to start trying to get some farm onto this Aerith and get him ahead. Wouldn't be expected if, once again, once Danger's ultimate comes up, that is used in the mid lane just to try and, I guess, stop some of this early game power out of Syndra.
Yeah, actually has a 1,000 gold lead in that mid lane, and that is huge at the 14-minute mark.
Yeah, so once again, Shu and Drizzle are just like connected at the hip this game. They're just roaming together, sweeping out wards. They put pressure on the red side of the map. Now they know blue's about to be up. Now they're going over to put pressure on the blue. They're just absolutely controlling the area. Look at the ward difference between Gamtee and Energy Pacemaker. Energy Pacemaker own 90% of this map at the moment.
They do. The question is, are they going to be able to close this one out early enough? As Danger is going to try and take this blue buff very wide on that stun. As Thrill of the Hunt does get popped here. Danger wants to make something of this, but Shu, oh my goodness, just jumps into the death sentence. The box coming through as well. Drizzle takes the blue. Danger's so low. Amazing J also. Xiaohu around the backside, unharassed here as the Cataclysm comes through. Does get stunned up. Letme's right in amongst it. Sync Dream trying to do some work. That Gnar was huge, taking away Drizzle. But he does finally fall down as finally Raphael picks up the kill. Xiaohu answers that one though, and Shu trying to get some work done. Oh, that death sentence definitely living up to its name, as Shu now with double the kills that he's got in the LPL.
Able to pick up a pretty equal fight is good for Gamtee. They got some kills onto Xiaohu. He's 3-3-0 now. Able to spin that one back around, as well as take out Raphael, who to this point was absolutely demolishing him in lane. So that's good for Gamtee. Bad news is, that was completely in their jungle. If you can't win team fights at this point in the game in your jungle, you're in a lot of danger. They lose a turret for it as well. So let's take a look at what happens. Danger gets hooked mid-jump there, and a very strange interaction comes through, but he just gets bursted down so quickly. In the meanwhile, however, Xiaohu just doing so much damage, and Letme extremely patient with his Gnar. Gets another stun down. Only now does he get the use out of it, and gets a good two-man stun. Sets up Xiaohu's ultimate very, very nicely, and they're able to pick up another kill on Raphael because of that good bubble. This is a little bit greedy, however, from Gamtee, chasing this one in. At this point, he has double buffs and 3 kills. Could have gone back and shopped and really started swinging that lane a bit around. Instead, gives up a kill over to the support. No double buffs, maybe another dragon for Energy Pacemaker.
Yeah, oh, Death Sentence is going to go just wide as Sync Dream's able to slink through there, but it's half health now, and they do know about it, but nothing much that Gamtee can do. And Drizzle secures the second dragon for Energy Pacemaker.
Yeah, so that's great for Energy Pacemaker. Once again, 2,000 gold in the lead. Now they've got 2 dragons to their name, as Raphael starting to get poked a little bit more from this Aerith. So Energy Pacemaker have the game exactly where they want it. They've taken the bottom turret, going to look to push out this lane, start rotating Corki around, although pushing into a Xerath or a Gnar, this is going to be difficult.
It's going to be scary for Energy Pacemaker. They really need to start taking turrets. You have to think that, yes, they've got a lot of control over the enemy map, but as soon as they start managing to actually get these structures down, I mean, they have got one there on the bottom side of the map, but they have to have that map control and have the ability to completely strangle Gamtee.
Yeah, and that's what they need to do. They need to set up map control, push the waves out, and then roam as a unit, as we've been seeing Shu and Drizzle do. Get those picks and then push down extremely quickly, because they don't have the longest range. They've got great turret damage in the Corki with that Trinity Force now built up, but unless they really get a pick on this Aerith, on this Gnar, not going to be able to affect the siege the way they want to.
And you can see Tail actually doing fantastically well up until a little while ago. Did actually have a CS advantage here on the bottom side. Kane's managed to pull this one forward just a little bit, especially considering this Trinity Force power spike that he has managed to hit.
Yeah, and Tristana's looked to mitigate that a little bit by picking up the static shiv first. We see this a lot. Helps with the wave clear. We talked about how important structures are for Energy Pacemaker, so anything they can do to delay is fantastic at this point. But also helps with a little bit of that upfront burst that Corki is so renowned for. And right on point, 4-man rotation into the mid lane. They're looking to start sieging these downs, getting that pick. Yeah,
and Amazing J actually has that teleport available as well as the double ward to come in, definitely having vision of that particular brush. And actually double wards all over the shop here for Energy Pacemaker. They want to make sure that they solidify what they can see. And Drizzle just hanging around. He wants to try and catch this kitty as he comes to try and take that red.
Yeah, double wards, definitely not a great thing. However, when you have control over an area, it does take a long time to get 6 autos, as we may have another skirmish in this jungle.
Yeah, Danger really doesn't want to give this one up, but Drizzle's going to take it. Does get caught by that empowered bowler shot, and we do actually have the Aqua Prison landing, but not quite enough, and Drizzle gets out.
Yeah, they get a lot of poke down on Drizzle, but once again, able to steal away that red. Danger 0-2-1-1, having an absolute nightmare on Rengar at this point. Lee Sin just so much stronger, so much more vision control with that Sightstone being picked up, just looking to dictate pace of the game.
Yeah, no tankiness really being built up from Danger either. Has Oh, Amazing J actually teleporting down to the bottom side. Nice flash from Tail, but that's going to mean that Cataclysm, very easy to land. And no way out here for Tail.
Yeah, amazing presence of mind for Amazing J. Able to get into that bottom lane. Now they'll shove it out. Might even look to pressure a tier 2 turret here. They will lose top in response, but just trying to keep this Tristana down.
Yeah, they are. And picking up that kill under Tail is definitely going to help them out here. They don't want to let that Tristana get to that point where she can be just unstoppable in the back line. But Xiaohu is here on the bottom side, so going to be very difficult to siege against this Xerath. And this might tell the story of what's going to be happening throughout this game. Yeah,
but that's why they're trying to swing people around the map. Raphael, in the meantime, Danger cannot go in that lane at all, as they're trying to get a flank in here.
Yeah, Thrill of the Hunt has been popped. I don't think that Danger will be able to quite make it up to Raphael, whose Spidey senses did tell him that he needs to get the heck out of that mid. And he's going to have to slink back up to that top lane without anything to really show for it.
Yeah, so forcing them to rotate around the map. Xerath can only wave clear one lane at a time. Now was in the top trying to take down that turret, which he was successful on, but it did give away half the HP of that mid lane because there's just no way Danger can walk solo into Raphael's lane at the moment.
And it's actually Raphael opting to go with that Zhonya's Hourglass instead of the Rabadon's Death Cap here. I was expecting him to maybe try and mirror the amount of poke damage that Xiaohu can bring out, but not going to be the case. Going to opt for a little bit more defense.
Just too much risk with a Rengar and a Gnar on the same team to not pick up a defensive item at this point in the game. They're looking to dive on the back line of the comp and let Tristana, with that Buster Shot and the Rocket Jump, peel for herself with Nami. So good pickup there coming out of Raphael, trying to keep himself safe. And with the lead he's built up, he's going to do plenty of damage anyway, as once again, a 3-man gank coming bottom.
Yep, Tail is feeling like he's having a lot of attention here on the bottom side of the map. Maybe feeling a little bit important, you could imagine. Getting a fair bit of focus, but it makes sense here coming out of Energy Pacemaker because they really want to keep her down. And almost has that Infinity Edge. So almost hitting that 2-item spike that Tristana's can get, but not going to be quite enough until that last Whisper or Bloodthirsty gets finished.
Yeah, and once again, great map movements coming out of Kayn. Going into the top lane now with that Trinity Force, trying to get that turret down. Just trying to chip away at these turrets, so if they do win any skirmishes, Dragon's up in 40 seconds, they have a clear objective to go to afterwards.
And Gamtee finally managing to solidify some vision in their own jungle. So only now is Tail going to feel a little bit safe actually walking through towards that red buff, maybe getting some farm here on the bottom side as he waits for that wave to push up.
Yeah, so Dragon up in 20 seconds, probably one of the most important objectives that will come through in this game. Can Energy Pacemaker skip away to a 3-0 lead and really solidify their control with some extra movement speed, or will Gamtee choose to fight finally and try and pick up their first Dragon of the game?
Yeah, and finally Gamtee, I think, feel like they're in a state where they have the vision to actually contest this one. There are 4 members around this Dragon. We may see our first large team fight with all members involved. Of course, Tail wasn't there for the first skirmish. It has been started off here as the Dragon by Energy Pacemaker.
Yeah, recognizing that on the side of Gamtee, there is a teleport, and on Energy Pacemaker, there isn't. So they need to bring Amazing J down right now if they want to start this one up. They have once again started the Dragon.
Yeah, it has been started. There is full vision, though. Aqua isn't going to land onto Shu. He may want to turn this one around, but he's just going to flash away, and that's going to mean Energy Pacemaker back away from this one. Gamtee now wanting to keep this Dragon going, but I don't know whether they want to opt into a 50-50 smite against this Rengar. I mean, Lee Sin, he does manage to steal it. Drizzle goes down so low as well. The Tidal Wave to come through. There's the Rocket Jump, but it's going to be Xerath to pick up the kill as Tails found himself in an interesting position. Amazing J takes the Lantern and gets himself into this one. Let Me flashes out of this as well, and Raphael just pops the Zhonyas, and he's going to be absolutely fine. But Tail fell down, and that is not the 1-for-1 that Gamtee were looking for, because they even lost the Dragon.
Yeah, certainly was not. It just wasn't a great area for them to gnaw into, and weren't able to get onto the back line. They're going to lose a mid turret for this as well, which just is falling exactly. This game is exactly poised where Energy Pacemaker want it. They can rotate into the top lane, look to push that wave out, maybe pick up another turret if they would like, or just back off and buy. 3 Dragons to 0 at 24 minutes of the game. They have complete control.
Yeah, and Gamtee just looked so scattered in that Dragon fight as well, sort of unable to quite work out what they wanted to use their comp to do, unable to get very much poke off with Xiaohu on this Xerath, and just didn't really look like they were all on the same page.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of that can be credited to Amazing J's flank. Was able to get behind the team and really affect who Xiaohu wanted to stun up and stop from diving on the back lane. Very conscious of trying to keep Tail safe. And what that meant is that Let Me just had to dive in alone and took too much damage.
He did, sort of unable to get any Nah to really work out for his team. But we'll see, of course. Gamtee not out of this one yet. Their comp does work very well in this later stage of the game. But having all of these kills onto Xiaohu on the Xerath, he has caught back up. Now has a kill advantage here in the mid lane and very even on CS. But you can see still behind in gold just a little bit. Oh, it's 70 gold. It's nothing really to write home about. But he's doing fine. The rest of his team, though, not so much.
Yeah, and it really is. After a very rough game, now a lot of the onus is on Xiaohu to see if he can stall as, once again, Danger looking for a pick. Hasn't used the ultimate yet. Is on top of a ward, however.
You have to think, though, if you want to stall out a game, who better to have all of your gold funneled into than the wave-clearing Xerath, who can now get rid of all of the creeps with one Q and really just prevent EP from doing anything in that siege situation. They have to catch Gamtee off guard if they want to take these structures. Yeah,
definitely agree that they need to look for picks around objectives. However, the danger here is just how massive this Corki has become. 2-0-0, up in CS, nearly picked up that Bloodthirster, going to do so much upfront burst to people like Xiaohu and Tail that will be able to really control this mid game. And that's who they didn't want to head, as once again, they're looking for another fight, not able to get anything. They've lost their blue. They're going to lose top as well. They're just getting out-positioned around this map.
Yeah, sort of not really being in the right places at the right time. Tail did manage to get them with that scrying orb, but nothing to come from that as they try to maybe rotate towards this middle side of the map. But you can see that Gamtee, they don't really know what they're doing. I think that, you know, Tail's taking wolves. They're not moving decisively as a unit.
Yeah, and I think it's because they just don't believe they can win a team fight at this point. We mentioned how strong Corki is. 2 items have been finished up by Tail, but he really needs to look for that last Whisper if he's going to shred through any of the tank line at this point. Amazing J is just picking up so much armor. And yeah, so they're really at a loss of how they actually control objectives at this point in the game. Once again, 3 dragons, that's an absolutely massive deal, particularly when you're able to get the objective advantage as well as take dragons. They've just really nicely controlled this early game and are forcing Gamtee into bad decisions and reactionary play.
Yeah, but I mean, Gamtee can rely on anything. It's Energy Pacemaker's inability to really close out these early leads. And if Energy Pacemaker can use these games in order to show us that, yes, they can do that, then they may look a lot better moving into the rest of the split here in the LPL.
Yeah, and I think it will really give them a confidence boost, more importantly, because as we said, we've seen them had great early games, but then they kind of do nothing after that. This time looking much more decisive in their play. Importantly for Gamtee, though, Xiaohu's picked up his 3 items. He's now finished off that Void Staff. He's going to be doing so much damage.
Yeah, and Let Me actually has finished 2 armor items here as well, so going to be massively tanky on this Nah. Has that Randuin's as well for the added slow benefit. And we'll see whether he is going to be able to affect these team fights and have that Mega Nah transform when he needs to.
Yeah, so they need to keep an eye of where Amazing J is in relation to the rest of their team. If Amazing J is with their team, I actually feel that Rengar and Let Me can just dive in on the back line and really affect the team fight. However, if he gets another flank, people need to keep Xiaohu and Tail safe.
So we do have Dragon actually coming up in another minute. Energy Pacemaker do pick up the Scuttle Crab. Scrying Orb used yet again from Tail to spot out that happening.
So Kane looking nice on this Corki now. Picked up the Bloodthirster, as we mentioned. 40 seconds away from Dragon. This is exactly... They've just hit so many nice item power spikes. Amazing J's finished off his Banshee's Veil. They've got the 3 items onto Raphael as well. Bloodthirster finished off. So, as we see, a little bit of defense going on of that pink ward.
Yeah, and Jao doing a lot of damage here too.
Yeah, but on the other side, I think this fight really does come down to where does Nah go and how much damage can Xiaohu get on before he gets dove by Drizzle and Amazing J. They're going to be really trying to linebacker him out of this fight.
Yeah, it seems to come down to the effectiveness of these top laners. And speaking of which, Let Me gets caught by a Death Sentence, but going to bounce his way out. He's going to be fine.
Definitely not the target they're looking to catch. He is pretty tanky at this point in the game.
Oh, yeah. Just talking about that as the Dragon has just spawned Energy Pacemaker with a decent position on this one. If they can pull it out, they might be able to start this one up, but you can see Gamtee off on the bottom side, and Energy Pacemaker just want to trade this one for a turret, perhaps. I mean, I'm not entirely sure why they're moving towards this mid lane. He's giving up the first dragon to Gamtee. Will definitely not be something that they want to do, but they've just taken control right back. Gamtee really need to get themselves into this one. You can see Let Me with no rage on this Gnar either. It's a nice stun to come through from that Scatter the Weak, and Drizzle now with his dragon so low. Oh, he does manage to pick that one up as Amazing J Cataclysms in on this one. Let Me so incredibly low. He's not going to be able to tank anything up, and Danger gets death sentences. Xiaohu trying to get the stuns but doesn't find anyone. The Gnar finally coming in, but it's not quite enough. Kane gets obliterated. Tail picks up that kill. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Again with the dragon falling down, but the fight is still on. A triple flay to come through from Shu. Raphael with so much damage in the backline. Pops that Zonius to keep himself alive. Tail gets baited into this one as well. Xiaohu turns it around. Rocket jump out. Tail's going to be fine. The double kill to come in. Xiaohu is a beast on this Xerath. Amazing J coming in on this one, but the flag and drag is enough to pick Amazing J up the double kill.
Yeah, and really, Drizzle sealed that team fight for his team. Able to get a flank and an absolutely massive kick. Props to Xiaohu for holding it together for so long. But all in all, Energy Pacemaker, another dragon. A lot of resources spent into that mid lane turret. And half the bottom turret's health gone just from that one team fight.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that they could have potentially even taken that tower, but we do have a replay, and let's have a look at that dragon fight.
Yeah, so we see that they go in mid and push out the wave. So look where the wave is. At this point, they're trying to get position on the dragon. They're able to get it themselves. Drizzle is so low, but Let Me had no rage at the start of that fight. From here, they just try and kite back Gamtee, pick up the first kill onto that Rengar, and from Let Me just gets a perfect transform, great Gnar, and so much damage coming over that wall, and they keep chasing. Watch Drizzle's positioning on that minimap. Comes through, gets an absolutely beautiful kick, gets two people from that play for Shu into the fight, and from here, really big prop to Gamtee to make anything from this, because Tail is able to survive for long enough to get Xiaohu to pick up a couple of kills, but Amazing J just too tanky, too big on this job, and gets a really nice flag and drag through there and picks himself up a double kill.
Yeah, and he looked almost immortal in that fight as well. Amazing J just with so much health and armor and magic resist, just able to tank up for so long. And that Tiamat doing a lot of work as far as the damage is concerned.
Yeah, it certainly is. Tiamat, that Q as well as the passive that comes through from Jarvan, just ensures that he has that consistent damage over the team fight, even when building tanky.
Let's see whether he's going to show up for the rest of this one. Of course, Amazing J has fallen off in the past, but 3-1-6 now on the Jarvan, and he's looking brilliant going into this one. Now has the Randuin's Omen completed. And the Banshee's Vow's been finished by Let Me, but he has to control that rage meter on this Gnar. Just, if he had that Mega Gnar earlier in that last fight, things could have been completely different for Gamtee.
Yeah, certainly could have. Gamtee really ran, Energy Pacemaker really ran towards Gamtee in that fight and completely zoned them off because of the fact that Gnar didn't have that rage. So definitely agree that needs to be managed a little bit better going forward. Important pickup for Kane. Now finish that last Whisper. We'll be able to deal with the Gnar a little bit better in the next team fight.
Yeah, but on the other side, Tails picked up that last Whisper as well. So this Tristana really starting to scale through into this game. Thrill of the Hunt was popped, but Danger unable to really find anyone. As Sync Dream just going to throw an Aqua Prison out just because he has that ability available. And Amazing J continues the split push here on the top side.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of over-prioritization onto this Gnar in the champ select, because Dangers look completely wow.
Oh, they're just turning this one around onto Shu. Takes a lot of damage, but Sync Dream just gets destroyed in that fight. Came with so much burst. Out on the backside, though, everyone on Gamtee just getting torn apart. Amazing J came in. Let Me just says, where are my buddies? He's going to have Gnar available. The Wallop's there as well. It's a beautiful stun, but you can't do that when everyone's dead.
Yeah, so a clean ace rotation into Baron. And as we're saying that the item thresholds come through, EP really flex their muscles in that fight. Clean it up nicely. Actually send Amazing J to the mid lane to try and pick up a turret as well. Good objective focus coming through, and Danger has looked all out of sorts on this Rengar.
He hasn't. Drizzled has looked so comfortable on this Lee Sin, making play after play, and you have to think that when Jarvan and Lee Sin are picked up for Energy Pacemaker, are available for them, they're going to pick it up because they just look so comfortable on these champions.
Yeah, and we mentioned if Gamtee can stay in this one and get to the late game, they'll be absolutely fine. At this point, they need the late game to go so late for them to equal out how much of a lead Energy Pacemaker have been able to put together. Really well played map control, and they've been dominant throughout.
Yeah, the turtle shells are going to have to be really put on. Of course, the base has not yet been breached, but with this Baron buff available for Energy Pacemaker, they're going to be able to take down as many towers as they like because they know that they have this gigantic lead. 13,000 gold.
Yeah,
is a lot of gold.
The problem is that Jarvan is just 70 CS up and so tanky at this point. He's picked himself up another Chain Vest, probably going for a Thorn Mail, maybe even a GA. And he can just turret dive at will. He can travel so far, lock up the back line, and if they don't have flash on Xiaohu, he's just going to die from the follow-up burst.
Yeah, and he's got a Hydra now as well, so going to have a fair bit of that life steal at the same time. This is a very, very big Jarvan.
Certainly is. They're looking to pressure the outers. Xiaohu needs to be careful here.
Looking dangerous. There are wards starting to litter this bottom side of the map. Sync Dream is fairly far up, but that inner turret is just going to die, and Gamtee just let it happen.
Yeah, and that's the problem. They're just getting beaten to objectives, and they can't keep them off them. All the outer turrets may as well be forfeit for this Baron because there is no way Gamtee can fight unless they're in their base and they're getting help from those inhibitor turrets.
Ooh, Energy Pacemaker looking to set something up, but Amazing J has other thoughts. He just wants to get in amongst this one. The Dragon's coming up. He does get stunned on his way in. A nice Aqua Prison as well, but that 3-man stun coming through. And my gosh, Energy Pacemaker trying to turn it on. Xiaohu out in the back line, managing to get some poke in as well. Let Me is in that Mega Gnar form, but can't quite find the Gnar. Tail picks up a kill, but he's going to fall down for it. Unstoppable. I mean, the ultimate coming through from Syndra just doing so much work. Oh, that rocket was going to kill Sync Dream, but didn't quite manage to. An Energy Pacemaker, they only lose Amazing J, and they are going to be able to pick up this next Dragon as well.
Yeah, once again, a
this is the
2-for-1 trade.
Oh my goodness, the hero steal preventing the 5th Dragon.
Yeah, so able to get one back. That's extremely important for the stats that will come through, especially on this Tristana and Xerath. Just so much raw AP and AD at this point in the game. A great fight out of Energy Pacemaker, but the only reason they were able to do it because of how far ahead they were. Never a good idea to split the way they did around the Dragon Pit, but they will get the first inhibitor of the game.
Yeah, going to be able to take down this inhibitor, but not going to have that all-important 5th Dragon, which is something that they were obviously looking for very, very much. And this top wave is going to be shoving through onto this inner turret, so causing them to have to change their minds here. Not going to be playing as aggressively until that wave starts pushing back.
There are so many caster minions there just wailing on that turret. Half damage coming through before Amazing J can clean it up.
Yep, Kane going to pick up this red buff as well, so just a little bit of a reset here after this relatively bloodthirsty game, but 16,000 gold now the lead for Energy Pacemaker. You have to think that irrespective of how strong a team can be in the late game, if you're down by that far, things are not looking very good.
Yeah, I don't know many team comps that just on pure team comp alone can outmanage a 16,000 gold opposition. In saying that, there are a lot of resources still on the map for Gamtee to pick up if they do manage to sneak some picks through. So all the outer turrets and one outer turret and all the inners are still available. So that's a lot of gold that if they start sneaking some team fight wins through, they can pick up fairly immediately.
Yeah, and Gamtee are using their side waves relatively effectively as well. Again, in that bottom side of the map, a wave stacking up to pressure on that turret, and Raphael forced to go down there as well.
So looking for a pick into the bottom side because they recognize Syndra by herself. They were trying to get around for a flank. Maybe even now can look for Drizzle on Lee Sin, but looks like they're just going to reset. Back in the mid lane.
Too aggressively.
Trying to create pressure wherever they can. Don't get me wrong, Tristana at this point in the game is extremely strong. But when you compare it to a Corki that's nearly picked up an Infinity Edge on top of it, 4,000 gold lead, that's just absolutely terrifying. Has picked up the Infinity Edge.
Oh my goodness. It's 4-item Corki. That is a big deal, and that is a massive price tag on those items as well. So
yeah, he's gone to the designer lane and picked up the most expensive build he possibly can.
Oh, yeah. The Lamborghini of Corki builds come through for this guy. Even has the Alacrity boots as well to add some green flavor. I like it because he's very color coordinated at the same time as being extraordinarily powerful.
And he also recognizes the fact that no one can get on top of him because of how amazing Jay and Drizzle are playing these team fights. So has skipped any defensive items. Probably will pick up a QSS for the last one just in case he eats a Xerath stun or a really good Gnar. But at this point in the game, exactly where he wants to be in terms of damage. And Amazing Jay just takes none of damage, speaking of which.
Yeah, it doesn't care. Even has the Thornmail now. This is a 6-item Jarvan with 3 of those items having a ton of armor on them. Oh, 4 if you include the Ninja Tabi as well. And Tail's just not going to be able to touch him.
Yeah, so Tail, until he gets that Bloodthirster, really will struggle in these fights just because won't have the lifesteal or the shield to be able to combat with that Thornmail that's coming out of Amazing Jay. Speaking of side lane management, we complimented Gamtee on it a second ago. That's absolutely horrible to let something like that build up. We'll give up a top turret, and someone has to go deal with this now.
Yeah, Xiaohu's looking around there, wants to try and clear these ones out because he does have that incredibly increased range. 50 seconds now on the Baron and EP. They decide that we just want to pick up the objectives and then head back to the siege with that Baron. And you have to think that they just have so much control as Death Sentence not going to quite find its mark.
Yeah, really nice sweeping of wards coming out of Energy Pacemaker, trying to set up for the next Baron coming through. Amazing Jay looking for the flank once again, pinged back. They're going to shop before this, try and pick up some final items before they really go for this last, what they would hope to be the last Baron fight.
Yeah, potentially even the last push into the base as well as this bottom lane. Again, a little bit too much for Energy Pacemaker to deal with. If we have a look, could potentially even go down with this minion wave push and may not even lose that cannon creep.
Yeah, so that will continue to push. Amazing Jay going down there to deal with that one, but some more gold back in favor. So we mentioned that there was a lot of gold available on the map. They're starting to pick up some objective. 3 turrets to 7, so they're still very, very far behind. Still 16,000 gold in the favor of Energy Pacemaker. But as this game goes later and later into the 50-minute mark, gold's not really going to be an issue. People are getting towards completed builds. They're not going to get any stronger than they already are.
And as soon as it gets to the point where items and gold are irrelevant, that's when Gamtee just all of a sudden become ahead, irrespective of what this gold value is, because you can't buy more than 6 items.
Exactly right. The only thing they're really hurting on is the Dragon, and a second Baron might even be going over now as well.
Thrill of the Hunt has been popped. The teleport to come in immediately from Amazing Jay needs to make sure that they have 5 members here. Danger wants to get in, but Thrill of the Hunt has dropped out here. He tries to get in, but doesn't get the smite, and he's going to die for it. Raphael gets stunned up here just a little bit. Letme needs to build up some rage. He's throwing boomerangs as much as possible, but he gets knocked up. The Arcano Pulse doing some work here on the backside, and Gamtee do manage to escape with their lives, apart from Danger. Yeah, so not going too badly for Gamtee. If they had got rolled over there, that would have been game.
Yeah, certainly would have. They got Raphael extremely low, as well as Shu, so they weren't willing. Wow, good stun.
Brilliant. They caught out Kane. He's going to die. Tail picks up the kill. It's a decent kick, but a bit late as Letme's about to transform. Tail's getting these resets, but Amazing Jay is so tanky. And this could be a Gamtee Dragon.
Yeah, really good turnaround from a stun from Xiaohu. Fantastic awareness of exactly where Kane was. I don't think Energy Pacemaker want to let this one go.
They don't. They're trying to get through, but there's the Nada come in as well. Drizzle gets immediately taken down. Amazing Jay got caught up by the Aqua Prison. That Arcano Pulse is doing work in the backside as well as Tail has been eliminated by Raphael. They're trying to kite this one out, but look at Amazing Jay. Just no fear at all. As Xiaohu's going to flash out of the way of Raphael, who's still so dangerous. Letme trying to kite with that Hyper, and Amazing Jay finally falling down low. Death Sentence landing onto the Gnar, and Synctream and Letme just trying to get some work done. No one picks up the Dragon.
Yeah, but all of a sudden, minions in the base of Gamtee starting to do some work on the inhibitor as well as the turret. In the top lane, however, Energy Pacemaker lose an outer, and they're going to lose this Dragon.
Energy Pacemaker actually not really managing to capitalize. Of course, no one... Amazing Jay was very, very low, so we had to go back, but they lose another Dragon here as well. They need that 5th one to be able to get some work done.
Yeah, Xiaohu definitely dead.
Oh, dear. Yeah, you're dead, buddy. Yep, just the edge of the sphere. Going to knock the life force away from that Xerath. And that was just unfortunate positioning, you have to admit.
Yeah, but Tristana now finished up that Bloodthirster, is in a position where she definitely can start affecting these team fights a little bit better. Danger needs to be careful he doesn't get caught out here.
Yeah, he's sort of just hanging out, backing in this brush. Thank goodness it doesn't have a ward, otherwise he would most definitely die by a lot of Energy Pacemaker members around here, but you have to think that with Baron Buff still circling the members of Energy Pacemaker, they are going to be able to take down this first inhibitor of the game.
Yeah, maybe even able to get a second one. Still 30 seconds on Xiaohu. That is the wave clear, and Amazing J has started prepping this bottom lane.
Yeah, Letme does have a large amount of rage here, but they need to wait for the damage of this Xerath. But Sync Dream, you are dead, buddy. That is just... Oh my goodness, fish soup created there in the Nexus, in the base. And another inhibitor to fall down. Energy Pacemaker now making decisive moves. We know that this is what they wanted to do. Tail gets caught by a stun. He's going to flash and not going to die because of that fountain as Letme trying to get the work done. But the Nexus, only one turret available. And this could be Energy Pacemaker picking up their first victory in the LPL. And what a better way to do it. This is such a dominating performance.
Yeah, and finally the rest of the team arriving. Amazing J, still a great game on that Jarvan, but in the mid lane and bottom lanes, much better performance coming out of Raphael and Kane.
Yeah, Kane was looking fantastic on that Corki, incredibly comfortable. And of course, Raphael, as we hop into a replay, Raphael was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it certainly was. So this is the Dragon fight at about 30 minutes through the game. So when we roll it through, they had prepped the mid lane so well, pushing that in. And Gamtee really needs to take this one to get there first. You see that Letme, just watch Letme. He has absolutely no rage. He's trying to build it up, but can't get any poke damage down. And Danger goes so low from trying to steal this Dragon. Drizzle also extremely low at this point in the game, but as they kite back, get caught up, Letme just in a lot of trouble. Danger falls first, and from here, it's amazing that Gamtee get anything from this fight. Really good Gnar comes out, and Tail puts down extreme damage over that wall, but Drizzle comes through with a really nice kick, and Amazing J just perseveres. So if we just watch this one play out, really good play comes through, great stun, and Amazing J just completely takes over this fight. Raphael and Drizzle end up falling, but in the end, when you ace someone and pick up a Dragon, that's a pretty good result at 30 minutes in a game.
It is. Xiaohu tried his very best that game to carry, but just unable to do it when he's the only one on his team really able to do anything.
Yeah, he certainly was. A lot of pressure was on him with repetitively ganks in the early game.
Yeah.
If we think back to what had happened, Drizzle and Shu were visiting his lane over and over again as a two-man gank squad. So him being able to get to 6-8-3 and really stall that game out as long as he did is a great play.
Yeah, fantastic work. But we are going to have Game 2 coming up very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's